Hello, everybody. I'm Alex,
And I'm Alex.
and this is our podcast, Nicolas Cage.
Conspiracy theories. All right, let's get right into it, which I guess is your thing.
Hold on, real quick. By the way, I was listening to one of our podcasts, episode 10 specifically this week, and it turns out that the synchronization of that is actually not from my perspective. I know we originally thought it was, like, if it sounded synced to me, then it was synced in the recording, but in that episode it was pretty good, except then we were like, oh man, it wasn't synced up.
All right.
So I just kind of say it whenever.
Apparently it's just completely random, and we'll figure out how it sounds in the edit.
Yes. All right. Well, welcome to the podcast. What episode is this? This 13?
This is 13 because last one was actually 12.
Right.
And the one before that was the one we thought was 12.
Right. So here we go, episode 13.
Sure, 13, definitely.
If it's not, leave us a comment about how dumb we are.
And we'll quit making podcasts forever.
If somebody leaves a comment on one of our podcasts saying you guys are fucking idiots, we will stop podcasting forever.
No, we won't, because that will be our defining achievement of this podcast. Somebody like listening to it and being impacted enough by it to leave a comment. Even if it's like terrible, if it's like you guys are literally like, I genuinely
cried from how bad this was.
Yes. I mean, they say any, what is it, like any it's not any news, right? Any news is good news. Is that it?
No, it's no news is good news.
No news is good news. But it's like, you know, people who are like, who try to like gain, like try and get famous by doing really stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Even though, like, it's terrible, people are still talking about them.
Yes, no such thing as bad press.
That's what I'm thinking of, yep. There's no such thing as a bad YouTube comment on our videos.
Let's say, objectively, there is.
There's some pretty bad YouTube comments.
Have you ever read any YouTube comments?
It's like the one we talked about a couple weeks ago on my brother's channel about the Area 51 thing. But it's, objectively speaking, a bad YouTube comment.
All right. Well, here we go. As always, Nathan no longer owes me $1. And now, so normally, now I would start with the Philadelphia sports update, but this week Nathan and I have decided to swap roles. So I will be talking about a song that I listened to. Actually, I didn't listen to this song this week, but I have listened to it many times. The song is called Calling All Dawns by Christopher Tin. It is 45 minutes long. It's broken up into 12 movements. And each movement is in a different language, and none of them are English. The movements are in Swahili, Japanese, Chinese, Portuguese, French, Latin, Gaelic. By the way, I love how you can't say the word Gaelic without sounding like you have a little bit of an Irish accent. Gaelic. Anyway, Gaelic.
Gaelic.
Do you see what I mean?
No.
Polish, Hebrew, Farsi, Sanskrit, and Polynesian. I don't actually know the name of the last language. Are you
reading these off a list, or do you just know that?
No, I remember. So I'm so familiar with this song because in 2013, I guess, my school choir went to New York to the Lincoln Center to perform this song.
All of it?
All of it.
All right.
Although not all of it actually has choir parts, so we weren't like singing the entire 45 minutes, but We were standing up on stage for the entire 45 minutes.
That counts.
But yeah, so the first 5 movements are called Day, and it's my favorite part of the song. Also, another interesting fact is that the first movement of the song is called Baba Yetu, and it is the music for Civ 4. So if you've played Civ 4, hope you've probably heard this song. But the first 5 are kind of like uplifting and energetic, and I really enjoy them. And then the next 3 are called Night, and they're much slower and quieter and longer. And they also have fewer choir parts. So if my experience from singing these, this is where you zone out while the soloists and instrumentalists play this part. Also, Polish is an incredibly difficult language to read. I don't know if you've ever looked at Polish before, but like,
Nope.
the pronunciation of the words is literally nothing like it's actually like. I have no idea how they decide how the words are pronounced. Maybe after this I'll just see if I can find my score and I'll show you what I mean. But like, anyway.
Yeah.
And then the last 4 movements are called Dawn, and they are they start off quieter, but they kind of grow in intensity. And cool thing about the piece is it starts out with just like somebody going like ooh, and then they'd have that same thing at the end, so it's like a bring it full circle kind of deal, which is cool. So
could you hypothetically just like loop it forever?
I mean, if you loop, yeah, I guess. I don't know if the instruments are all doing the exact same thing at that time as they are in the beginning, but also you would die if you tried to do that.
You'll die anyway.
Right, but you wouldn't be able to loop it forever.
Right. Nothing lasts forever.
Right.
Not even Cold November Rain.
Okay, anyway, I'm guessing that's a song.
Yeah, November Rain.
I've never heard.
9-minute long song by Guns N' Roses.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if you have the patience, I recommend going and listening to the entire 45-minute song. It's available on YouTube and Spotify. If you don't, just go listen to the first 20 minutes, which is Day. And if you don't even have that much patience, just go listen to the first movement, which is like a few minutes. So, but yeah, that's my. So also, I met the composer. So the composer was there in New York. He wasn't the actual conductor, but he was there listening and giving comments. And I got to meet him, and I have a signed copy of the score, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever performed music in front of the person that composed it. That seems like it would be really like intimidating.
Yeah. I don't know. He was a pretty cool dude. I don't think it was. It's probably more stressful for like the conductor, because he had to make actual decisions about how music was going to be played. Like, we just sang it as it was written, or however they told us to do it. So
right, that makes sense.
So yeah, that's it for the song of the week.
All right, well, I've spent the last 5 or 10 minutes here immersing myself in Philadelphia sports, Googling the various teams. We've got the Eagles. There's Ben Simmons. We looked at Ben Simmons.
Yep.
No news about him. We were just looking.
They released a new jump shot video of him.
They what?
Okay, so basically he is amazing at everything in basketball except for shooting. He's literally terrible at shooting. Right. This last season was the first time he took a legitimate 3-pointer attempt.
Uh-huh.
He's never made a 3-point shot. And so he's never made one. And so this offseason, one of the things that he's focusing on is his shooting ability. So
can you hear this right now?
Yes, I can.
All right. Well, I looked up. I don't know if this is the video you're talking about.
Thank you, James.
But it is
Big
about
flattery.
Ben Simmons'
Check out this young
jump
camper
shot.
doing his best version of the James Harden double step back. To James. Did he nail it?
I need Steve Kerr to weigh in.
All right. Let's skip ahead.
I just need to see him take the shots during games. If I were his coaches, I would set you need to take X number of shots a game. Doesn't matter if your shooting percentage is 10%.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was pretty amazing when you think about it. Like,
All right.
look,
That was not a jump
That's
shot.
like a Nerf
If
basket.
there's commentary, it's a long video. They might be analyzing the video, but there is a version of the video without
I
commentary.
think that guy's Ben Simmons, although he did just make a shot.
We'll see if he-
Although there's been
I think he was working out with LeBron in like New York or something like that. He was taking some of
Hey,
the shots.
he made
we
one.
can see him in the games. Let's go. He starts to release a little bit higher.
That's pretty
which
good.
I like to see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
All right. That's enough.
So They've released multiple videos, highlight videos of his workouts this summer, which include him making some jump shots, which is exciting. Anyway, carry on.
That's good. Yeah. Well, okay. So I guess let's get to the main bit of Philadelphia sports news that even I noticed during the week, and that would be the Phillies playing a couple games against the Cubs. If you know anything about baseball, you were probably hit with both of these games in your news feeds. First of all, Wednesday of this past week, the Phillies beat the Cubs 11-1. It took until the seventh inning for the Cubs to score. It was 11-0 at that point, and then I assume at that point in the game everybody kind of just knew the result and was just getting through the last little bit of it, But pretty incredible performance. As far as I can tell, this is a pretty significant series for the Phillies. I don't know a whole lot about like the MLB structure, so as for context, I don't know. You can work that out by yourself, unless Alex wants to interject real quick with a.
It was an important series because both teams are fighting for a wild card spot, and and so the Phillies beating them was good, obviously.
Yes, you did actually. Yeah, you did mention that when we were talking about this just a second ago. The second game of that series, no, the third game of that series. It's a series of 3.
Yes.
So they won the first game too, which was on Tuesday.
Yes.
They won 4-2. That's pretty good. Then they won 11-1, which is wild. But in game 3, were these all in Philadelphia, by the way? Is that how they do this?
Yes.
All right, so they're on fire, right? They're doing well. Coming into game 3 in their home stadium. Stadium?
Yep.
Field?
Or
What do you call it? What?
Their home ballpark or park is often used as well. Both of those things that you said are also fine.
Cool. All right, I know baseball. So they're coming in hot. They're on fire, doing well, feeling confident. And then I don't know. It all looks like it's falling apart. Through the first several innings of this game, Philadelphia cannot score a run to save their season life. I don't know what you would say there. And the Cubs, meanwhile, are managing to pull through a little bit. So let me paint the picture here. It's the bottom of the 8th inning, 5-0. The Phillies are batting. They do manage to score a run, but that's all they can pull out there. And then they've got to make it through the top of the 9th. They managed to hold the Cubs scoreless there. And then the bottom of the 9th, their last chance at this game, I watched the highlights with Alex right before we started podcasting, and it looked like they got a couple lucky breaks from some well-placed hits and some fielding errors and such. But they managed to get it within 2 runs. It's 5-3. And then I believe the guy's name is Bryce Harper. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That is correct. Look at me go. He's batting. The bases are loaded. And he manages to just obliterate the baseball sends it flying out of the stadium into like the second row of like balcony, whatever baseball. Second deck. That's it. That's real. Manages to just absolutely crush this hit into the second deck. It's a walk-off grand slam for the win. Completes the sweep, and so things are looking good. Yeah. Things are good.
I think they lost the last 2 games though.
Let's look. I'm on.
They lost today and yesterday.
They did, but they didn't. They won the first game of that series of 3 against the Padres.
Yep.
So
I do have some interesting commentary for those of you who don't follow sports.
All right.
Like you.
Like me.
Yeah, because Bryce Harper, he's 26 years old, and he was drafted by the Washington Nationals, probably 8 years ago when they were really bad. He was one of their first big star players.
Yeah.
He's already won MVP. He's only 26. And this offseason, he was one of the 2 players that everyone was, kind of waiting on bated. He was one of the 2 best players who was a free agent this offseason. And they signed him to a 13-year, $330 million contract at the beginning of the season.
Wait, so he's new to the Phillies this year?
Yeah.
And they signed him for 13 years?
Yeah.
That's an interesting decision.
Yeah, so the thing is, shortly before he signed, the other big free agent named Manny Machado signed a 10-year, $300 million contract.
Yeah.
And the thing was, Harper signed a contract where he's getting less per year, but
right.
He's getting less per year, but he's got a longer deal and more total money in the end.
Right.
And even though he'll probably be in decline by the end of the contract, I would say, and it'll probably be overpaid.
Right.
He'll, hopefully, if he's as good as he's been for most of his career, the first 7 or 8 years of his contract will definitely be worth it. So,
I mean, as I don't know, I don't even know how I want to qualify that, because it's not like I'm not into sports, but I guess as somebody who does not closely follow any professional sports team, it's pretty incredible to hear these contract numbers. I feel like you might get a bit desensitized to it,
right?
If you're closely watching a major franchise, but $300 million? Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. And the other thing,
giving this guy $300 million to play baseball.
Yep.
Wild.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing is that in baseball the numbers are so inflated because there's no salary cap.
Yeah.
So the Phillies can just pay people as much money as they want, and the Phillies are a big market team. They're in one of the top 10 largest cities in the country, so they have a lot of fans. And they also don't have any other teams in the city or in the immediate area. I think the next closest team is probably Baltimore. But so they have a lot of markets. So one of the reasons that salary caps exist actually is so that small market teams who have less money can compete with large market teams. That's why the Yankees have always been so good, because they're in the biggest market in the United States, and they have the most money.
Right. So baseball doesn't care about evening the field with caps, or is that a player thing? They've decided to the players lobby for not having caps.
Yes, I mean it's always anytime the players are obviously lobby for not having caps.
Right.
Players would lobby for that in any sport. It's just in baseball they are successful in getting that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sure.
Don't you have how many people are on a baseball team?
So you have a 25-man roster. So you have 25 people on the team, and then it's in September, I believe. Your roster is expanded, and so you can have more people.
So I mean, obviously, they're not all making so like the numbers that we mentioned earlier. Those are like the higher end.
Yes, those are
Like-
the absolute high end. Yeah.
It's still amazing that these sports teams have that much money to be putting into players.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking at the payroll right now, just out of curiosity.
Yeah. For the Phillies.
Yeah, for the Phillies. And also the other interesting thing is that looks like their payroll is $142 million this year.
Wow. It's pretty cool that you can look up online the payroll.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
The other thing is that because of the way contracts work, if you sign someone to a contract and then you like cut them or they get injured, you still have to pay them.
Yeah.
So it looks like the Phillies are paying this guy named Howie Kendrick $5 million this year. He's not on the team. I don't even know if he's still in the majors. I don't think he's in the majors anymore.
Yeah. Baseball seems like a really good deal to me because it's not like that. It doesn't strike me as that dangerous of a sport.
Yes.
You're still making very large amounts of money. Although I suppose this is only if you make it to the majors. So I mean,
yeah,
take that with. However, there was the. I don't know how closely you followed. Oh crap! What's that guy's name? The Oklahoma quarterback who.
Saw that he was thinking of transferring to. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of someone else. Who are you talking about? Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray. He was. I think like Oakland or somebody had him sign for baseball, and they gave him a couple $1 million or something to get him to commit there. But he ended up getting drafted in the NFL and picking to play for whatever NFL team drafted him.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, like, congrats to him for being professional quality at 2 different sports.
Yeah.
That's probably not uncommon because, like, when you're that athletic, you're that athletic. But
I don't know. I think it is pretty uncommon because athleticism can only get you so far.
Yeah.
You need to put a lot of time into being an effort into being good at a sport enough that a professional team will want you.
Even more so, I guess, because he's in a skill position in football, right? Like, I don't. Again, like I'm not like a sports expert, but just it seems to me that that's one of the more difficult things to do, and then to also be able to play professional baseball.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know when you went to look up the Philadelphia the baseball pay. Going back to that, I'm not sure if you found the same website as I did.
Sport Track? That's the one I found.
I don't think so. I just clicked on the first link. It has a pie chart at the top of all of the salaries, which is pretty cool because you can see that there's 10 guys that make up like 80% of the payroll, and then the other 17 players are 21%.
Right.
So just the you sort of feel bad for those 21 guys, but then you scroll down and they're still making like $600,000.
Yeah.
Then you're like, that's all right.
It's kind of funny because if you actually follow contracts, you're like, oh, $600,000, that's like so low. But then you think about it for a minute and you're like, wait, they're making $600,000.
Yeah, like I was making $600,000, that would be astronomical. But for these guys, it's like, oh no, they only have 6 numbers in their salary.
Exactly.
What's gone horribly? Like, it's also interesting looking at this list that there's a handful of players that are right around $600,000. But then a huge jump up to the next guy here who is at 1.1 million. So there's like,
I would be willing to bet that most, if not all, of those guys in the hundreds of thousands are rookies or on
Yep.
their rookie or they're on their rookie contract. So
once you finish a rookie contract, you get a big pay boost if you stay in the majors. Is that?
I mean, if you're good,
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty uncommon for a veteran player to be getting that little amount of money.
I see. All right. Well,
Yeah, so
that was a deep dive into baseball and also just sports in general.
you're welcome to all of our listeners.
Right. If you liked that, go ahead and send us an email at alexandalex@joelthepodcast@gmail.com and let us know that I should do the Philadelphia sports update every week, because that way we get more sports for some reason.
Or leave a comment.
Leave a comment on this video. Remember to like and subscribe. All right, but for real, so what we did this week. I think we were still recording last week when we discussed this. We planned another movie review, and we chose a movie that I've seen many times, and I think you have seen many times as well.
That's correct.
It's one of those classics of American film. You can't look at the history of cinema without noticing the movie that is National Treasure, starring Nicolas Cage and a couple other people who I don't really know. It's mostly Nick Cage.
Yep.
There's
Diane Kruger's the female lead.
Okay. I mean, I know you're correct. Like, I know the name well enough that I know you're correct, but only because I was looking at the movie last night.
Yeah,
Like,
same.
I don't know what that is.
I can't think of her in anything else.
Yeah. All
Anyway.
right, but yeah. So we both watched National Treasure. Give me your first impression of the movie. I mean,
Yeah.
I know obviously you've seen it many times before, but like watching it in this context, what do you think?
My first impression is that I love this movie. This is an excellent movie. Now, that's not to say that it has no flaws. It's just I don't care about any of those flaws.
The flaws don't matter because the movie is great.
Yeah, so honestly, like I said, I've seen this movie many times, and I think the first time I saw it, I was probably in like middle school or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember when it came out.
2004.
So I was not even in middle school. I probably didn't see it when it came out, though.
Right.
Anyway, my point is I was at a point where I was not old enough to be, I was not at an age where I was like critiquing movies for their, oh, this is so unrealistic. I was at an age
Right.
where I was just enjoying the movie,
Right.
face value. And
Isn't that what it's all about?
yep, that is what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
And so as a result, I think I don't know if that's the reason why I can easily overlook all of its flaws now, but I can easily overlook all of its flaws now.
Yeah.
What
I
about you?
agree. Everything you just said is basically also my opinion. This movie is a masterpiece. It's completely unrealistic and ridiculous, but like it doesn't matter. It's so good.
Yeah. All right, so now, for the purposes of humor, let's discard everything we said and tear this movie apart.
Right, because as we all know, it's insane, absolutely absurd, the premise of this movie.
Right, so I actually think we should kind of ignore the absurdity of the premise and
Sure.
start with just, I don't know, just off the top of my head, the first thing is how like quickly that she comes to like him. Like, this movie takes place over the course of like a couple days, right?
Right.
So the fact that she goes from like strongly disliking him
Yeah.
to like she is in love with him and buys a house with him at the end, seems.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, my critique is validated by the fact that in the beginning of National Treasure 2, they're shown as splitting up.
Right. Yeah, that does seem like super impulsive. Which I mean, like, I guess I kind of like that's a whole like adventure to go on with someone and not like become connected with them. I just think the way they showed it was like you missed out on all of the actual connection because all of it is just running around and finding clues and stuff.
Right. I feel like they tried to make it super obvious the parts where they were starting to like each other, like they would have a super obvious like look between them or whatever, but there was no lead up to that. Like
it was there.
It was just like, oh, they started to like each other all of a sudden.
Yep. So, actually, along those same lines, what I was thinking in regards to her character was how quickly she flips between, like, you know, wanting to, like, take back the Declaration and just run away. And then, like, she's all of a sudden, once they find the message on the back, she's, like, super into it and no more questions asked after that. It's just like, I'm buying in. Let's do this.
Yep. And actually, on a similar note, I don't know. This is the literal first thing that I was just like, what the hell was in the beginning when he's like, there's a map on the back of the Declaration of Independence, and the guy's like, we'll steal it, and he's like, we can't steal it. I'm not gonna let you steal it. And I'm like, am I misremembering something? He does steal it, right?
Right. I felt the same way because I definitely remembered like the major like narrative structure of the movie, but all of the details and the interactions, I just was not. It was kind of nice that I hadn't seen it in a while, and I got to like pick up on all that stuff again.
Right.
And yeah, that one was a big one. It's just like that and like, oh, you don't want to steal the Declaration of Independence? Let me kill you then here. Like we'll just murder you and then go steal it ourselves.
That part actually made sense to me because otherwise he was going to tell someone.
I mean, I guess, right?
Which he did.
But obviously nobody believed him. It was just like, yeah, sure, somebody will. Which they called out later in the movie. Hilariously, the like head FBI guy was like, when the like the young agent looking guy was like, actually we received a tip about this, and we just filed it as like not credible. And then the head guy is like, how do you feel about that now?
I mean,
idiot, somebody told you exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah, I get the humor in that and like the point of that, but I mean like that guy shouldn't. There's no reason for that guy to. I'm sure they get crackpot claims like that all the time.
I would love to see the data before and immediately after this movie about how many tips they get called in.
Yep.
Like, does that really happen in real life? Do like actual people try and contact the FBI with like a prank that somebody's gonna steal the Declaration? Like,
I'm sure they do.
So the answer must be yes, right? Like that's not even the most ridiculous thing that's going on right now.
Yep.
But like, it's so stupid. Like, it's really weird for me to wrap my head around that. That's just such a crazy thing.
The next thing was hold on, I had it in my head a second ago. I lost my train of thought.
All right, maybe it'll come back to you. Let's talk about the entire character of Riley. Like, nothing in particular, but this guy is maybe my favorite character in any movie ever.
So he's a very, I think he's a very likable character, I guess, because he's kind of like an underdog-y thing.
Right.
But the other thing is, I feel like he was meant to be really funny.
Yes.
As it was, in my opinion, he was just like kind of funny.
Let me tell you, he was kind of funny, But like when I watched this movie 10 years ago, he was hilarious.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very comfortable saying that my view is definitely biased because of that. But like I feel like he was a good like inclusion in this movie. Like that character type needed to be here in order for this movie to work. Because if it was just a bunch of people who were like super serious about stealing the Declaration of Independence, you'd be like, all right, this is just insane. But there was like a character built into the story who, as things were going crazy, was like, hey guys, this is really weird. Like what's happening right now?
I think you're just describing the purpose of comic relief.
Yes, I am. It's a good thing that this movie had that.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it was not really well executed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it was the writing or the acting. Probably more the writing, but like I feel like I've just seen so many characters of this type that were just way funnier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I guess I agree. Like when I was a kid, I probably found it I think I found it pretty funny. But like now, this time through, I was like, yeah, that's kind of funny, I guess. Like I didn't say that, obviously, but
sitting by yourself watching the movie.
My reaction was more like, huh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from there. Again, yeah, I'm super biased, but like I couldn't like not appreciate the fact that it was great. Even though like I guess objectively speaking, like we both knew, like we know, right? Like that it's basically just like a cheesy comedic effect, like the sort of writing that you would expect from like a mid 2000s like Nicolas Cage movie. But
okay. I remember what I was gonna say, which is honestly the most unrealistic part of this whole movie, aside from the fact that there's a treasure hidden underneath Trinity Church in Boston. But the fact that honestly, it's also less unrealistic than the fact that there was a map on the back of the Declaration of Independence.
All right.
But it's how easy it was for them to steal the Declaration of Independence. Like,
oh, for sure.
There was one guard, and he was only the bad guys ran into him. Nicolas Cage didn't even run into a single guard on his way.
Right.
Also,
obviously the circumstances are pretty manufactured, right? Like for the sake of the movie, a lot of things happened the way they did. I would be curious to see like if somebody were to execute that plan in those circumstances in real life, like it would obviously go wrong very quickly. And I want to know like what exactly is, would prevent someone from actually doing this.
Yeah, here's the first thing. You cannot peel someone's thumbprint off of a glass and put it on your own thumb. That's the first thing that would go wrong.
Yes, that whole bit where he has like he gets the glass, like that's pretty sneaky, right? Like that's pretty good where he gets the glass, gets her thumbprints from it.
Yeah.
But like he has like the drops that he puts in the bag and there's like a cloud and then he like there's like 4 perfect fingerprints and the thumbprint on the glass. Like that's not how you hold the glass, first of all. Like pinching it in your fingers like this. Those of you who are just listening to us, which is everybody because this is a podcast.
You know what he's doing.
With just my fingertips, and it looks really stupid. But like that's sort of like sci-fi chemistry. I don't even know what to call it. That was
like honestly
that one part of the movie that did not hold up for me. I was like, man, there was no effort there.
Honestly, the part where he like puts it in the bag and there's the cloud and then the fingerprints are visible. That part is like okay. The real bad part is when he takes out the thing and sticks his thumb on there and just peels it off. Like, okay. And also
that whole bit, yeah.
By the way, I think I was incorrect in saying that's where the plan would go wrong. The actual place where the plan would go wrong is when he was trying to get into the building and the security guard just waved him through without really looking at his badge. Like, I'm sure they have better security as to who gets into the building after hours.
Yeah, I mean,
Just like,
thinking about like so 2004, they'd already had all of the like crazy security increases after 9/11. So like we saw all of like the X-raying and stuff, but like somehow they didn't like notice or check. Maybe this isn't all that realistic. I don't know. I just found it really weird when I was watching that like he came in the janitor suit and then like took off the suit and had like a tuxedo underneath.
right.
And they didn't like notice that at all in security. Like I feel like that would be a little bit weirder than just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm pulling out the wrong details here.
I mean, he just walked through a metal detector. The only weird part to me was that his tuxedo was somehow not visible below his janitor's uniform. Like the collar was just, I don't really remember. I didn't like rewind to check this, but like I feel like the collar would be above the collar of a janitor's uniform, right?
That's a good point. Yeah,
Like,
I
feel
mean,
like it should have just been visible underneath.
they probably did not film all of those scenes with him also wearing the tuxedo
Right.
underneath.
Yeah, I
That'd
think
be
you're
pretty
probably
fun
right.
if they did, but I mean they didn't, right? Like
Yeah.
we can agree on that. So
The next thing is that the next thing that would go wrong is that when you got down to the basement, obviously there would be guards, but aside
Yeah.
from that, they wouldn't just leave the Declaration of Independence sitting there, like not doing anything. They would either have it stored somewhere secure or
Right.
they would be working on it. They wouldn't just be like, "Oh, we're done for the day. Let's just leave it here, not secured."
yeah. I mean, like, to be fair, I guess, they had it behind, like, the locked door where he needed the finger.
I can't hear you. You're frozen. Can you hear me? The recording is still counting up.
People for that level of security to be, like, the acceptable amount.
Yeah, you froze for like 15 seconds there.
Oh, did you not hear anything I was saying?
Yeah, not really.
All right. I mean, it wasn't all that important. We can just move on. It was just a bit more about how unrealistic that was, which I
Yep.
mean covered pretty well.
Yeah.
So. All right. What was your favorite part of this movie?
What was my favorite part of the movie? Let me think
Yeah.
about that for a minute. I honestly, I really like when he's solving the puzzles. Like in the
Right.
beginning, when he's solving that initial riddle,
Yeah.
like I like that. And honestly, it was much better this time because listening to the riddle, I understood like most of what it was referring to since I'd seen the movie many times before.
Right.
Like that, and also the actual clues on the Declaration and the Silence Do-Good letters.
Yeah. I mean, they did a pretty good job, like genuinely coming up with a good puzzle, historically speaking, for like, it wasn't like that part of it still holds up.
Yep. Although the fact that they had that one brick with the Freemasons logo on it that had the glasses in it.
Yeah.
That was quite the that just no one noticed before.
Yeah. I was so when we were watching that last night, he like pulls out his pocket knife and is like pretty easily carving away the mortar. And Shelby was like, "Is that how that would work?" And I was like, "I don't think so. That seems super wrong."
It's one of the things like I don't know enough about bricks to say for sure, but that seems wrong.
It's like this can't be correct, right? Like I trust the structural integrity of buildings more than just like you could walk up with a pocket knife and in 30 seconds pull out any brick you wanted.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, as far as like the actual like content of the riddles, even if the actual physical stuff was pretty like, I mean, it's got to be unrealistic, right? Like clearly none of that is true. But yeah, that was really funny. I think my favorite part of the movie is when they actually find the treasure.
Right.
Like it's so satisfying to watch that.
Yeah.
The part where he like lights the torch on the thing and it just like spreads the fire throughout the treasure room and you just see how much stuff there is down there.
Yeah.
By that point you're like emotionally invested in it despite knowing the entire thing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so you're like, yes, this is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I think that scene is another good example of how they just kind of just missed with the humor where Riley's like, look, a way out. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. There's a giant treasure in front of you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so difficult to like come up with how that scene should have gone. Like it was such a back and forth, like they're trapped down there, but they like know that there's a secret way out, and then they like figure out a puzzle, and then all the treasure is gone, and then they find the new thing, and then it's just like, oh, stairs. And it's just like,
yeah, you're just like, yeah, that's actually a much better description of what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I don't really like. I share that critique of that bit, but like, I just don't like. Some things you see it's wrong, and you're like, oh, they should have just done it this way. But that in particular, I just have no idea like what the like. I feel like if he had been like really excited about the stairs, that would have been wrong because there's like all that treasure in front of you and you're like, look at the stairs.
Right. I think what they should have done is I think the problem was that like every 5 seconds previously it was just him being like, guys, there's no way out here. Then they get to the next room and he's just like, guys, there's no way out here. Then they get to the next room and he's like, guys, there's a way out. Like if maybe like they didn't do that and he just like he was like with them the whole time until at the end he was like, oh, hey, stairs. And maybe that would have been better. I don't know. I'm obviously not a professional writer, but
I mean, we clearly have the skills of professional writers.
Yeah, as you can see from our
I think I think you bring up kind of it's a bigger problem than just like that one line is weird. Because yeah, you're right, he's just constantly like we're trapped, but he's like doing it in that kind of like tone and urgency where it's like, hey guys, we can't get out.
Right. Oh no.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say whether that's like, I'm sure the actor is like, you know, talented and stuff, like could have done that other ways. I don't know if like the direction was weird there or maybe that like.
Well, honestly, I feel like it would have been even weirder if he was like freaked out. Like if he was like, guys, there's no way out.
Oh no, we can't. We're just trapped here and we're gonna die.
It might have been funnier though.
Yeah. Like if he just sat down and had like a complete meltdown, and all the rest of them were like, you need, like, we're trying to figure this out, and you're just laying on the ground, face down, screaming. Like, this is not constructive. And like they built him up to be like that kind of like quirky, says everything in a really kind of sassy way, like that was just his kind of like personality. So like, I guess that's how he would deliver lines like that. But it's just, I don't know.
Honestly, I think it's appropriate for the tone of the movie, but every single reaction to anything that happened in this movie was like toned down. Like
Right.
like all of their reactions to stealing the Declaration of Independence, like I guess it was they did try and show them freaking out a little bit, but like
Right.
they stole the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, I think like the very initial bit of Dr. Chase being like, you stole the Declaration, like she had
Right.
like decent reaction to it, but then once she flipped and was like, all right, this is what we're doing now, then there was no one like left in reality, you know. Everyone was just like, all right, we're we all buy into this conspiracy now.
Yeah, and honestly, even the FBI were pretty chill about it. They were just like, really? You lost the Declaration of Independence? And that was like the extent of his how upset he got.
Yeah. They were like, oh, we've got a copy on display, and they're just like, oh, all right. The public's not gonna find out.
Yeah, who even cares at this point?
There's a replica. I mean,
we could just do nothing and no one would ever know.
Right. If we just told nobody, then there you go. Problem solved.
I wonder how true that is.
I feel like the real Declaration of Independence was like just torn up after they were finished with it, and we've just had a replica all along. Like they were like, oh wait, this was super important. We better like write it down again and get everybody to sign it.
Right, that was the other thing. Like, well, actually, I don't. I actually have not enough historical knowledge to say this with any real.
Yeah.
But like one of the points of the thing was that the founders knew that the document would be important, so it would be preserved.
Right.
So that the map would stay. But like, I wonder if the people at the time really knew that.
Yeah.
Like, when they signed that paper that said, you know, we want to be free.
Right.
It wasn't like the founding government. I could see if they thought the Constitution would be that important.
Right.
But like, I don't know.
So you actually just said something there about like evaluating the movie, but you don't really know that much about history. That made me think that when I watch movies with bad science in them, I'm like, man, this science is bad because I know science.
Right.
So I'm really curious to hear what a historian would think about this movie.
We need to call up David for our next David Shana. He's a big history.
Oh, really?
Guy. Yeah.
All right.
Although I don't know how much he's into the American Revolution history. He's more like a World War II, but I can ask him if you really are interested in that.
What are the odds if you texted him right now with this question that he would respond in a relatively timely manner and we could have like a quick chat about it?
I'll just text him right now regardless of the odds.
Right, that makes sense. So everybody, welcome guest star David to the podcast.
Don't say that until we...
No, it's confirmed now. You texted him. What could go wrong? All right, we will now wait in silence for David's response.
I wonder if there's a limit on how long these recordings can be.
I know, actually I don't know. I was going to say I know YouTube just like lets you upload however much video you want because there's like, you know, the 10 hours of X random thing, usually short and repetitive on YouTube. But like, what if you just recorded for like a week straight, assuming that you had like that sort of, you know, video capacity on your recording device? could you then just like upload that to YouTube? Do they have file limits?
I'm sure they do, right?
Yeah, if you own YouTube and know the answer to this question, please send us an email.
If you're the CEO of Google, first of all, why are you listening to this?
If the CEO of Google was listening to this, I would be only proud, no shame.
Yeah, I would not be shamed if the CEO of Google was listening to this because I don't know him or have any respect for him.
Right. You hear that, CEO of Google? We don't respect you.
Fuck you, CEO of Google.
I feel like this video is gonna get flagged on YouTube or something.
It's gonna get removed. Copyright claim. It's just us.
All right. I take it that David has not responded, so we should probably move on to something else.
Yeah.
All right.
We can talk about the premise now because
All right. Yeah,
little details.
Big picture. Here we go.
So their plan was that they had this giant treasure. But rather than just hide it, they decided to hide it and then leave clues so it could be found, right?
Right.
And the idea of hiding it was that they didn't want the British to get their hands on it. I get that.
Right.
What I don't get is why they couldn't have just like written down where it was. And passed that along.
Yeah.
Like
it's really strange because the whole thing at the end was like, this treasure is too great for any one person to possess, right?
Right.
Obviously, they had that well under control because there was this whole group of people who were like the stewards of this massive treasure.
Yep.
Like, I think, again, I could be wrong because I don't know that much about history, but I think that even in the past, people like studied and appreciated history, and there were like something equivalent to museums. Like maybe they weren't like museums like we think of them now, where you like, you know, show up and maybe pay money to go look at stuff, but like that was always a thing, right? Like that's not new.
Yeah, and the other thing is like they were like, oh, this treasure is too great for any one man. Yet basically one guy found the treasure.
Yeah,
Like
with all the clues, like it's pretty well set up for like one person, because once one person finds like the glasses, for example, would they just like put them back for the next guy?
I feel like the thing was like I feel like their actual stated goals weren't actually fulfilled by their plan, because not only did it prevent like one person from finding and taking control of the treasure, but also like there's no reason why an American would have an easier time of finding this treasure than a British person.
Right. I mean, like, if you know American history trivia, you had a pretty good shot. Like, that was all it really took.
Yeah, or Google.
Yeah. It works less well now because you can just like that's what the bad guys literally did. They were just like Stowe, Declaration of Independence, and then the Liberty Bell popped up, and they're like, all right. And then they like they obviously didn't know history because they showed up to the actual Liberty Bell instead of where it historically hang.
Right.
Like the tour guide said that, so they're like, oh, I guess we'll go up there then. And like they just kind of stumbled their way through the entire thing, just like the crazy history guy.
It's honestly, I guess it's the point of the movie, but it's honestly infuriating how easily they were able to just follow the people who figured out the actual clues.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, especially considering, like, this is the first time I feel like I consciously noticed this. When the FBI first figured out that Ben Gates was like their suspect, they were like, he's got a degree in history or whatever it was from Georgetown and mechanical engineering from MIT.
Yeah,
I mean, they were clearly setting this guy up to be like some sort of super genius
right.
of history and stuff, but like the other guy was just like rich and also a criminal, and they like followed along just fine.
I mean, they did try to set up that this guy was smart also,
Yeah.
but they never really showed that. They just kind of said it like that. I think there was at one point there's like, well, what's like Ian? He's like Ian's smart, he's not gonna, whatever. But like they like mention that he's smart, but he never does
Yeah.
anything that's like, wow, like you had to be smart to figure that out.
Right. For the record, I while we were talking there, I looked up museum on Wikipedia, and there's actually an entire section of the article on early museums. Apparently, museums date back to like, 530 BC or something like that. One of the oldest known museums is from uh, I guess like Babylon or something. That's not important, but like yeah, 530 BC is what they're claiming here. So like definitely for sure by the time of the American Revolution, like museums were a thing, and so if the I mean maybe there weren't like museums in the Americas yet, but like this treasure would be like a great place to establish a museum. I don't know, like yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I wonder what the point of the treasure was if they weren't actually gonna use it. They were just gonna hide it.
Hold up. America's first public museum was established in Philadelphia's Independence Hall in 1786.
Which would have been after these people hid the treasure.
I mean, yes, but this is like the era where actually, you know what? No, I take that back. I feel like that's the wrong point to criticize because I think the way I interpreted it was this treasure had been like built up over centuries, right?
Sure.
And by the doesn't matter that much.
I don't even know.
Right. So definitely they mentioned in the movie that by the time the last guy passed on the note to like great grandpa Gates or whatever, that was the secret lies with
Right.
Charlotte.
Yep.
I think they said at one point in the movie that even that guy who had signed the declaration when like put the clues there, he didn't know what that message meant.
Right.
So
Yeah, honestly, what I don't get is why didn't they just use the treasure? Like
yeah,
in the Revolutionary War, that was one of the United States' biggest problems was that they were super poor and they couldn't properly equip and feed their soldiers. Like
right.
this giant treasure probably would have really helped.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. It's also interesting that the Americans were the ones that had control of this treasure. Like it was clearly put under a church in America, even though it had been like built up over a very long amount of time. Like, wouldn't you think they were trying to keep it away from the British, but wouldn't you think that the British would have known about it from like
Yeah, I feel like this organization, the Freemasons, isn't just an American organization.
all right, it's time to search Wikipedia for the Freemasons.
This
So that-
episode is heavily sponsored by Wikipedia.
Right. This so I mean typically we just wildly speculate, but now that I'm on Wikipedia, we can actually like look stuff up. Yeah,
Wikipedia.
end of the 14th century. I'm not going to look into it any more than that, but basically this definitely predates like the British colonies in America.
I feel like this is unrelated to your point, but I feel like Wikipedia's motto should just be like, "Give us $3, you piece of shit."
I I've never given Wikipedia any money
You piece of shit.
because I've been poor. I've been like a student. I worked part-time. There are lots of things for which I don't give them money, and that's been my reason. But like now I have a job and like a reasonable amount of money, so like giving Wikipedia not giving Wikipedia $3 at this point is just going to be like a conscious decision on my part that despite utilizing Wikipedia so heavily for lots of things that I do, I can't be bothered to give them $3 one time ever.
Fuck Wikipedia.
But not really. Please don't go away, Wikipedia. Yeah, that's. I feel like now that I'm aware of that, I have some sort of like moral obligation to either like, justify not giving them $3 or give them $3. You know?
Yep.
Like what can my reason possibly be right now?
There's no reason. The actual reason you haven't already given them $3 is that it requires a non-zero amount of effort.
Yes, that is accurate. Like if right now, particularly right now because we're like podcasting this and it's like semi-public, if there was the banner at the top of Wikipedia that was like, please donate $3, I would just be like, listen, here I go. I'm giving Wikipedia $3. That's my obligation for life. I never have to do it again. I've done it. But I don't know how to give Wikipedia money, and I'm not going to look too hard just in case I accidentally find it. And then
I'm sure there's like a donate thing on the side, like a link. Let's see. I'm just going to go to Wikipedia.
If you find it, you have to donate though. Oh, donate to Wikipedia. There it is.
You found it before I did. I don't have to look it up now.
Oh, no. Oh, there's the option to give monthly, actually.
Oh, yeah. That's what they really need. You giving them $3 one time is pretty negligible, I'm guessing.
This is interesting. So I've now clicked on the link. I'm still not certain that I'm going to follow through, but...
You're such a bad person.
It's so pathetic, but like this is there's a message from Wikipedia founder Jimmy Wales, who I didn't know that Wikipedia was founded by like a guy named Jimmy Wales, or like just like a guy in particular. It seems like
you thought it just came into being?
Well, no, I thought it was like you know how like the internet started off as like stuff going on between like universities and things, like I feel like that's correct. Like scientific.
Yeah, I thought it was actually started by the military, but they probably both have contributions.
Whatever it is, right? Like there wasn't just like a person who like made the internet.
Who invented the internet?
I bet one of the first 5 links will tell you that Al Gore invented the internet.
The first link is who invented the internet from history.com.
That seems too reputable. Try again.
It's not going to say Al Gore, but I'm curious who it does say. Wow, this is a cancerous website. It's 2 people. I guess they didn't really invent the internet, but scientists Robert Kahn and Vinton Cerf developed the transmissions control protocol and the internet protocol, TCP/IP, which is the standard for the internet nowadays.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So now, of course, that I have this knowledge, I need to go to the Wikipedia article for Jimmy Wales. Wales was born in Huntsville, Alabama. How about that?
Nice. You should have visited his birthplace while you were there.
I could have. There's probably like oh no! Oh no!
What?
Jimmy Wales, co-founder of Wikipedia, has a degree from Indiana University.
Oh no!
Oh no! Ah,
I don't even know what to do now.
I
think I might go kill myself.
Oh man, I'm trying to figure out the context because it does say that he got his bachelor's at Auburn and then a master's at the University of Alabama.
I hope it's an honorary degree.
I could live with that.
I could live with that too. Can't live with anything else. I'm definitely just gonna kill myself with something other than that.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna have to. I'm gonna go silent here while I dive into this article to find it. So go ahead and talk about something.
Well, I guess I was looking at. Was I looking at? Oh yeah, who invented the internet? And actually, I was right. It was started. So the U.S. Defense Department had a network called ARPANET, and when these two guys that I was talking about invented TCP/IP, ARPANET adopted it in 1983, and that eventually became the internet. Although another interesting thing is computer scientist Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web, which is not technically the same thing as the internet. It's just the most common means of accessing data online in the form of websites and hyperlinks. And if you can't tell, I'm just reading directly from this article now. So I guess Tim Berners-Lee, you could say he invented the internet, even though he technically didn't.
All right, I have great news. I'm going to interrupt you now. I have great news.
Thank goodness.
While Jimmy Wales did in fact attend Indiana University, he did not receive a degree. He began in the PhD finance program at the University of Alabama. He then fulfilled the requirements for a master's degree and then left the university to instead enter the PhD program at Indiana University in finance. However...
Wait, wasn't he already at Indiana?
No, okay, sorry, I'll start over. Bachelor's at Auburn.
Yep.
He applied for the PhD program at Alabama. Okay. While at Alabama, he earned his master's degree and then stopped.
Right.
So he did not complete the PhD. Right. He then went to do his PhD at Indiana, which is the bad news. The good news is that he did not finish his PhD. He did not end up writing a doctoral dissertation. And I'm going to quote from the article here. It says that is something he ascribed to boredom.
Something he ascribed to the shitty university.
So I can now rest easy knowing that Jimmy Wales was not a degree earning person from Indiana. I don't know. That's right.
A graduate is the word you're looking for.
Yes. He did not technically graduate from Indiana University.
If there's any listeners to this podcast right now who went to IU, go fuck yourself. Stop listening to this podcast.
IU sucks.
IU sucks.
So Alex, I'm sure you know that Shelby is starting her master's degree at Indiana in the fall.
Yeah. That fucking sucks. I don't know how you are still with her.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get through it, I think, but
shit, I just told Shelby to go fuck herself. Shelby, don't listen to this episode.
Don't worry, she doesn't listen to our podcast.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about that.
Yep. All right.
Well, we are well over the 1 hour mark, so I'm saying, wrap it up here. So out of 10, what do you rate National Treasure?
Definitely for real a 10. I know it's got its okay. Definitely definitely for real an 8, because while it has its issues with like plot and premise and stuff, it's still just like super entertaining.
Yeah.
Like genuinely watching this movie over and over again isn't really an issue because there's just so much weird stuff going on that it's like enjoyable every time.
Yep. I gotta say, I actually really agree. I also give it an 8 out of 10 just because of. I honestly really don't think most of its flaws actually detract from my entertainment of watching the movie.
Yeah, definitely not.
Like, they don't really help, but like the only one that really made it worse for me was the poor attempt at humor occasionally. But other than that, like all the plot holes where I really just didn't care about. So,
Yeah.
Yep, 8 out of 10. So there you go. 8 out of 10 is the average. And
We obviously highly recommend watching National Treasure, and probably to a lesser extent National Treasure 2. It's been a while since I saw it, but
I've seen National Treasure 2 even more times than National Treasure.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I used to have National Treasure 2 on my iPod Nano.
Ah.
So I watched it many times. Many times.
Looking back at my iPod Nano experience, it is mind-blowing that I put up with such a little screen.
I know, right?
Like my phone right now, I don't know what the exact stats or like specs are, but it's got like a 6-inch screen, right? Like it's basically the entire thing is screen. And if you look back at those iPod Nanos, they're like a 1-inch screen. They're stupidly small.
It's actually hilarious.
Yeah. All right.
Also, before we end it, I just wanted to say that this movie and National Treasure 2 are the only Nicolas Cage movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen some other ones, but they're not like memorable. The National Treasure ones, like I know what happens in the National Treasure ones. The other ones, I was like, I guess there was one that was like about magic a bit, I guess.
I feel like you're waiting for me to confirm. I
Yeah.
haven't seen it, so.
Yeah, I don't. That's the only other Nick Cage movie that I can think of. But
Anyway.
all right, there you go. There you have it.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm Alex.
And I'm Alex.
And this has been Joel.
Joel.